Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look here at GMT, which is a request from some of my community members here based on a recent trade we took, as well as just a simple fact that I've gotten a lot of requests for this in general. So we'll go ahead and cover this and much more, of course, best practice, big picture, hope to understand kind of what's going on here. And what we want to start with, of course, is if you are new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I just gotta let you know that. But I do love teaching people how to trade, and I've been trading for over 15 years. And I designed and created my CryptoCache Trading Academy as well as a Signal group. So if you want to kind of follow along and perhaps become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below. Be happy to get to know you better. That being said, looking at GMT here, we can see obviously there's a pretty significant sell-off yesterday. That happened across the board though, so it's nothing that's abnormal for GMT. We probably would have continued to maintain our trend line upwards, but unfortunately, Bitcoin had a bad day, 13% on a Monday. That's rough. That's going to reset a lot of things here. And we saw GMT get corrected yesterday by, top to bottom, 36%. So it took a pretty hard hit, and the main reason why, because this is a profitable coin. You got to think about it this way here, in that most altcoins that are profitable, that were doing well when Bitcoin was kind of going sideways or down recently, got hit the hardest because of the fact that they're profitable coins, and people are going to sell what they have in green first before they sell what they have in red. That's generally the concept. So good news is today has bounced back pretty decent. I still think it's very much in good shape, but it might take a little bit longer to hit our profit target, okay? And that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. But if we can see here, it was working really nice within the trend line. It was making higher highs and higher lows, contrary to Bitcoin, making lower lows and lower highs, and it showed great strength, okay? Now, it's still showing great strength in the sense that it's bounced back pretty well, but obviously it had to get corrected. So pending Bitcoin doesn't drop below 30,000, we should expect GMT to make a recovery. There's very little doubt in that sense, because of the fact we have such strong amount of volume at this higher price point here. If you see there's a lot of volume, of course, ICO dates provide a lot of volume. But if you exclude that, you can see the most amount of volume right in this range here, right where the price action spent the most time. And that is likely going to be a support channel. Keep in mind right now, though, it is potentially a resistance in the sense that we're underneath that and we close below, because that is one of those levels that we need to make sure that we break above before we have this trend. So if there were to be a continuous uptrend and were to get back on track, the first step in the right direction would just see a price point over 213. Okay, that'd be a big deal. But if we look at the RSI, see we came down almost as low as 30, which is good, in the sense that it's overextended. And the fact of the matter is that this has been on a downtrend for some time. We're actually in 9 days of continuation to the downside. So even though you count these 2 green days here, which actually looked very well, the price action was continuing to progress higher. It kept getting stopped out right around 276. Okay, and that being said, now that the price is kind of where it's at presently, we're about we're at this over-exhaustive state, for lack of better terms, because when you see a 9 on TD sequential on the daily, that's a sign of strong potential for reversal. So while yesterday should not have been a 9, we should have got a reset back upwards, we continued lower. So GMT came lower than it should have in this continuation to the downside, putting us below key level support, which is now resistance, but also we're bouncing off 30 on the RSI, at least really close to about 32, and that is kind of telling us that we should expect some more upside here moving forward, pending Bitcoin doesn't do anything stupid and obnoxious. I have to include that in all my videos because of the fact that Bitcoin is controlling the shots, because regardless of how you look at it, even though GMT is fairly independent of Bitcoin, it still has synonymous behavior when it sells off, okay? So a massive sell-off from Bitcoin again, just say we dip down to 27, 24, 22,000, some of those key supports for Bitcoin, GMT will get corrected as well. Okay, so just try to be aware of that. But I do feel as if we should see some recovery here soon based on how strong it is and how overextended it is to the downside. Looking at the 4 hour, we can see that the moving averages are all working as resistance levels. We also have this, you could say it's a death cross here when the 50 intersects the 200 in a downward fashion, but that really just kind of is reflective of this downward push. That probably would not have happened as strong as it did based on the fact that that came down with Bitcoin. That being said, we're not in bad shape here. The 4 hour doesn't look terrible, but it could look a lot better. We have a potential MACD convergence forming, which is basically just telling us the bears are losing control. Obviously, we get the price to go sideways for some time, the bears are going to inevitably lose that battle. But again, we need more volume and to potentially have that level increase. And if we can see here, we have had a lot of volume right at about 175. So that was a point of contention, a point we could probably expect to be probably the lowest point possible for GMT, again, pending Bitcoin doesn't drop sub 30,000. But with us being right at 30 on the RSI, just above, there's a good chance we should be able to get, start trending back up to test 50 on the RSI, which should put us right in the same range, about 275. So that being said, we should expect the price to continue to increase from here based on that sentiment, but there's no guarantees in the overall sense of the fact that we are making lower lows and lower highs. If we look at the 1 hour, however, of course, we can see that there is an attempt to make higher lows, but it's still not super successful. As we can see, this little sell-off here is when Bitcoin corrected from 31.5 to 30,500. Those things are going to continue to happen. So GMT is somewhat aligned with Bitcoin, but not completely. I do still think it can recover, but the general sense here is that we shouldn't expect it to, even though it's probable. Okay. So again, that's just kind of the nature of where we're at right now. We should see a relief rally from Bitcoin. We shouldn't expect it to go much lower, at least on this run. Overall, the next couple months, I do think we could see sub 30,000. I think that's very probable, because there's not a lot of volume support there, and we've really got a lot of moving averages telling us the price is going to come down. That being said, though, between now and then, we should experience some kind of relief rally from maybe 30 to 40,000, 30 to 38, 30 to 35,000. There's some key level resistances for Bitcoin, and if that were to happen, just say we start trending closer to 35, GMT will absolutely get back on track. Okay, so we got to acknowledge the fact that it's a good, strong coin. It's done very well. It can continue to do well. But if we lose volume and the volume starts to taper off, and Bitcoin just keeps doing a lot of nonsensical stuff, we can expect GMT to keep hitting the reset button. Shouldn't have happened in the first place, but yesterday happened. Just no other way around it. But we got to pick up the pieces, and I would say dollar cost average wherever possible, because I do think that $2 in the overall sense of things, you're going to get a return on investment. I do feel as if we'll be able to see GMT retest its all-time high this year. It's done very, very well for itself. But again, a 35% correction in one day, it's hard to bounce back from that immediately. Okay, so with us being up 5 or 10% on the day, I think that's a good thing to celebrate. And if we can continue to make higher highs and higher lows and get back up above $2 and just say 13 cents, if I recall correctly, that'd be a very good, important indication that we're getting on track. Again, pay attention to Bitcoin, watch my other Bitcoin videos if you're curious about the state of that, because that really has a lot to do with this. But generally speaking, GMT is looking pretty good. And I think we should acknowledge the fact that it's probably going to stick around, and I don't think we should see too much lower here, unless, of course, Bitcoin misbehaves again. Okay, so again, just pay attention to that. But of course, be cautious, be careful, and if you are, again, new to the channel, you want to become a better trader, perhaps, I cover all this and more in my trading academy, as well as my Signal group, and of course, my amazing community too. So thank you again so much to all my current community members for your continued support, but in most cases too, giving me the ability to help you become better traders, and I really greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you in the next video. I hope you're having a great rest of your day. Take care.